Hey guys, my name's Megan. I'm a sophomore at the college. I'm a sociology and environmental studies double major. I'm the arts and entertainment editor for our student-run newspaper, The Voice. And today I'm here in the beautiful academic quad with Professor Greg Shaya. He is a professor of history. He's been at Wooster for 19 years. And so Professor Shaya, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Megan. Thanks for having me. So, I'm a French cultural historian of the 19th century. I know that sounds like narrow and esoteric. That's my scholarly expertise. But I teach a wide variety of courses. I teach Europe and the Arab Total War, European post-war film and history. Teach a course on the world in 1900, the first age of globalization. Lots of thematic courses too, history of news, crime and punishment. And I also have been teaching a course on documentary filmmaking. I'm interested in a little bit of everything. So I'm a professor of history, but I really believe in the liberal arts project. I studied psychology and computer science as my first majors. I took my degree in American Lit and philosophy. I worked in high tech before I went back to grad school for history. And now I'm working on learning Spanish and getting to better understand Spain and Latin America. I'm also known around Worcester for my dog. See if I can get him to say hello. Frodo. He's here in my study with me. Come say hello, Frodo. Come on. This is Frodo. Let's see.
Oh,
Can I have a seat? Okay. Can you see him all right there?
yeah. Hi, Frodo.
Yeah. He's a sweetheart. You want to shake? Okay. Yeah.
Oh, you know tricks.
Yeah. He mostly likes to sleep on the concrete floor. All right.
Like most college students.
Well, that's all I got for you.
A good dog. Awesome. So, why study history? You've gone through you were so many other majors. You've studied so many different things. Why is history your main focus? What about it is really special?
So, Megan, I think there's no better way to understand the world than to study history. And I mean, I believe in all the things my colleagues do too. Study everything. But I think history will give us some perspective, and it helps us escape the tumult of the news and of everyday current events. History gives us an understanding of how societies change and of why good change can be so difficult. I also think history, it helps us get out of ourselves and understand other cultures, the forces that shape them, the experiences that define them. I also like that history can help us understand who we are. To study the past, whatever it is, whatever matters to you, whether it's the French Revolution or the Cold War division of Europe, it's a way to cultivate and refine your own understanding of the world and your own values and beliefs. Yeah.
That's great. So, at Worcester, what areas of focus have you really seen students focus and pursue in the department and really delve into?
So we say this a lot, that we believe the best way to learn history is to do history. So our students will spend some of their time in class listening and taking notes and reading books. Of course, that's necessary to accumulate new knowledge. But at the same time, they'll spend more time, honestly, building research projects, writing, research, producing history. And that's true not just in senior IS, that's true even in History 101. So many of our students are interested in public history, how to tell history to a wider public, documentary history, the history of education, history of civil rights. We could go on. What's most important is that students bring the things that they care about to their studies. So when you ask, what do students focus on? I guess I think about the things that my seniors have done, and I could tell you about these all day, but I'll mention a few of them. So one student who took his grandfather's letters and diaries from World War II, and he retraced the experiences of American troops fighting a particular battle in the Pacific Theater. Or another student who made a documentary film on Fort Ross. It's a Russian fort in California. It was the easternmost edge of the Russian Empire in the 19th century. Or another student, he examined the ways in which the Rwandan genocide was remembered and forgotten. And he got funding from the college, Copeland funding, to travel to Rwanda, to take photographs and meet museum curators. and then to write about the politics of memory. So students go in a lot of different ways, and they don't focus on a narrow set of topics, but things that they're passionate about.
That's, yeah. So do you find that those passions, what kind of career paths do those passions then lead students to, pursue and things like that?
Well, I always say it's important to put this out that your major is not your career. Now, a handful of our graduates have gone on to become prominent historians. Hey, we love that. Many are teachers, many are lawyers, but the majority go on to work in something that's only loosely connected to history. Some are journalists or entrepreneurs. They've started businesses. Some have gone to work on museums and libraries. Some have gone into finance or government, others to arts or the nonprofit world. So the kinds of opportunities outside the classroom that we try to connect our students with are opportunities to develop skills that will take you anywhere. And I can think of a lot of these. So students doing research with faculty. I have a student working with me right now, building a database of 19th century visual culture. We've got relationships with area museums and local historical societies. So we send a bunch of students to work as interns where they learn conservation, where they build websites, they build their own exhibits, curating exhibits. At the same time, we send students all over the world to do internships with businesses and libraries and museums. I had a student just last year who went to Morocco to work with a nonprofit group working on women's literacy. And that funded by the college, that trip and that internship was funded by the college. The closer to home, in the history department, we've got a summer program called the Wooster Digital History Project. And it's a project on local history and digital history. So we send students into the local community to research important stories and then to retell them in digital form that will be available to the community. They produce things like a cemetery walking tour or a food tour of downtown Worcester, or exhibits on Native Americans in the region of Northeast Ohio, or agriculture in Wayne County. So a lot of fun work. A lot of work that we do happens outside the classroom, and it's meant to prepare students in really broad ways.
That's really fantastic. So would you say that, that working outside the classroom, that research, does that, how does that make the history department at Wooster unique?
I think, every department at the College of Wooster is doing this kind of thing, creating experiences for students that happen outside the classroom. I know that it was different from the kind of undergrad education I had, and I had a great education at great institutions, but we didn't do this kind of hands-on work where I was given the tool to be the expert, and that's what happens for our students.
That's amazing. So you have been at Worcester for 19 years. So what do you love most about teaching specifically at Worcester then? Something's kept you here.
Hey, that's easy. There are two answers, the students and the faculty. I love our students. I'll tell you, I've taught at other places. I've taught at Cornell and Stanford. I'd rather be teaching our students any day. Worcester students are engaged, they're open-minded, they're genuine, they're unpretentious, but they're full of passion for the things that they're doing. And so I just love that. They might be history majors or sociology majors, but they're also in the pipe band or the orchestra or the tennis team and the ultimate frisbee team, and they work at the local homeless shelter, or they volunteer in a school. So I just love being around our students. They keep me engaged and they make my work enjoyable. And I love my colleagues too. They're accomplished experts in their fields, but that's true at any good school. What I'm impressed with is their devotion to our students and to this place and this community. And they're constantly working at making the College of Worcester a welcoming place for everyone. Yeah.
I know that's definitely something as a student I can agree with. It is such a great community. And who doesn't love bagpipes in the middle of classes sometimes?
Oh, yeah.
So what then is the most memorable moment that you've had in a classroom in your time at Worcester?
Most memorable. Well, I have to think of something I don't mind sharing. I guess, all right, a funny moment I can tell you about revolves around Halloween. And I love Halloween. I love the fall. I love the leaves and the kids dressed up. And I always dress up, a variety of costumes. I've been Dr. Jekyll or Nosferatu, the big bad wolf, sometimes obscure European politicians or the Eiffel Tower. And I always encourage my students to dress up. So sometimes in my 20th century European history, I encourage students to dress as historical figures from our course. Now, you got to be careful. There's some pitfalls there. It requires some rules. No war criminals, no mass murderers, no one responsible for mass violence. But it's fun to see what students do, and if they dress up as George Orwell or Simone de Beauvoir or a suffragette or a cubist painting. Usually it's a lot of fun. Well, one year I came into class on Halloween, and there was one of my students, and he was dressed up as me, and he'd done it right. So he'd grown out his beard, he shaved his head, he had a black shirt and a black sport coat. I'm not wearing my usual teaching outfit, but that's what I wear. And he had a mug much like my own. And anyway, it got a big laugh, and from me and from the class as well. And it was good, worth some good karma for him, and a funny moment.
Wow, that is devotion, shaving your hair.
I appreciate that. Yeah, he went all in, and that's what it's about with your Halloween costume.
Might as well. Wow. Well, you really are part of history. You know, you counted as someone that you had learned about in class.
There you go. Part of our class. Somebody from our class, that's what he did.
Hey, independent minds working together, then you came up with it. All right. Well, I won't take up too much of your time. Thank you so much for sharing some information about the history department, and I'll talk to you soon.
Hey, thanks, Megan. Thanks for having me. Bye.